As four-wheel drivers, it's in our nature to search for what's over the next hill. And a lot of the time, that means crossing creeks and rivers to get there. Water crossings can be a whole lot of fun if you get them right. And the best part is, there's a couple of simple tricks you can use to nail them every time. G'day folks, I'm Graham Cale from 4-Wheel Drive Action. I'm here today with an ISUZU MU-X, and I'm going to give you a few really helpful and proven techniques to make your next river crossing an absolute doddle. Alright, first things first, it's crucial that you understand where the air intake is in your 4-wheel drive. The reasons being, this is where you do not want water getting in. Should water get into here, you run the very real risk of catastrophic engine failure. And that's why it's important you invest in a quality, genuine snorkel to keep water out of your airbox. And if you're going to be doing regular water crossings, it's also a great idea to invest in a set of diff breathers for your diff housings and your gearbox. Put them up in your engine bay and keep both those items free of water. There we go. Alrighty, these ISUZU MU-Xs are a really robust bit of kit, but like any 4-wheel drive, water is the natural enemy of electrics. Now, I've stopped, as you can see, and the idea behind that is that I'm trying to let my drivetrain cool right down before I attempt this water crossing. As you can imagine, if I was to plunge right into this cold water after having driven up the beach, all my housings would contract and I could suck water in through the breathers. Folks, look, unless you're in crocodile country, every single water crossing you come to, you should wade first. And there's three main reasons. Firstly, you're checking depth. Secondly, you're going to be checking for flow rate. And then thirdly, you're feeling around just to make sure there's no hidden objects under the water, like this great big thing here. You do not want to hit that mid-crossing. That would do a lot of damage to your undercarriage. If you're with mates, keep your recovery gear ready to go. If something goes wrong, you'll want to get the vehicle out as quickly as possible. Look, go with the current wherever possible. If there is a bit of flow in the water that you are crossing, start upstream and work your way to the exit slowly downstream, using the current to your advantage. But here's a great tip, folks. If you can't walk the crossing because the current is too strong, it is way too strong for you to even think about driving. Keep a bit of steady momentum, just enough to create a nice bow wave in front of the vehicle. Too fast and you'll just spray water everywhere. Too slow and you'll risk getting stuck or flood your engine bay. Once you're safely on the other side, stop as soon as possible and let the water drain back down. This stops the entry and exit from getting chewed up. One final word, of course, if it's flooded, forget it. No river crossing is worth risking your life over. Just a couple of hours can make all the difference in the world. If that water crossing looks at all sketchy, my advice, get the camp chair out, get the billy out, boil yourself a cup of coffee and wait it out. No point putting yourself or your mates or family at risk. Remember, with water crossings, safety is number one. It is paramount. Set your vehicle up right, follow these simple tips, and you'll be doing water crossings like a pro. It's good practice too, after water crossings, to make sure your vehicle is thoroughly cleaned and dry, and regularly get along to an ISUZU Ute dealer after very deep water crossings and just get them to check it out and give it the once-over and a clean bill of health. For more 4-wheel drive tips and to keep in touch with ISUZU owner events, check out the iVenture Club website at iventureclub.com.au. I'm Graham Cale, and I'll see you on the other side of the river. If you want to get to Australia's best destinations, you're going to travel on gravel roads, and if you're anything like me, you live for those gravel roads and the magic places that they can take us. Now, while hitting the dirt is always fun, there are a few tips and tricks I've picked up over many thousands of dusty kilometres to make it equally safe for you and your 4-wheel drive. G'day folks, I'm Graham Cale from Australian 4-Wheel Drive Action, and I'm here today with an ISUZU MU-X to give you some proven driving techniques that'll make sure you arrive at your campsite safe and sound to enjoy a night under the stars. Main factors to driving gravel roads: reduce speed, no heavy braking, accelerating or cornering, engage 4-wheel drive, keep your eyes out for ruts, corrugations and other hazards. The firm base and the loose surface of a gravel road has a big impact on the way your 4-wheel drive not only brakes but handles as well. What's really important is understanding why this happens and then how to counteract it if you're the one behind the wheel. Drive to the conditions and be aware that they can change almost instantly, and that'll have a massive impact on both your steering and the braking of your 4-wheel drive. As a general rule, as soon as I'm off the blacktop and onto a gravel road, I like to select 4-wheel drive high range, which gives me a lot more grip and confidence on these tracks. I also make sure that I drop my speed significantly before I hit a corner, although you must carry just a little bit of acceleration through the bend so that you keep your suspension loaded. The reduced grip of driving on a gravel road is a lot like driving on wet bitumen, except of course on a gravel road you've got uneven surfaces and also changing conditions. It's really important, in fact it's vitally important, that you avoid mid-corner braking or accelerating, because it's at these points that you find it very easy to lose grip. Modern suspension systems like the one in this ISUZU are designed for these conditions, but always drive at a speed you feel comfortable with, which gives you time to react to unexpected hazards such as kangaroos. Hitting washouts, big potholes and rocks too quickly can damage any vehicle, so look out for them. Slow down and you'll be amazed at just how easily your ISUZU MU-X handles the conditions. Driving on gravel roads doesn't have to be scary or difficult. With a bit of practice and some understanding, plus of course, capable vehicles such as the ISUZU MU-X, you'll be the master of gravel road techniques, plus you'll be exploring the Australian outback in no time. There are few terrains as fun to drive as mud, and that's because a lot of the other rules about four-wheel driving can be forgotten. This is one terrain where a little bit of extra right boot is encouraged and momentum is key. And when you get it right, you'll be grinning like a madman. I'm Graham Cale from 4-Wheel Drive Action. I'm here today with an ISUZU MU-X to give you folks a few tips on how to drive mud like an absolute pro. Firstly, vehicle setup. Drop tyre pressures to around the 24 psi mark. Put the transfer case into low range and switch the traction control off. Take a moment to poke around with a stick and get a feel for the track. Just how soft is the bottom? How deep is it? Are there any hidden objects like rocks or logs that someone's thrown in there previously to find some extra traction? Righto, once you've got a feeling for what's in front of you, now the fun starts. It's time to get stuck straight into it. In an auto, select your gear via the sequential shift, and in a manual, you want to choose first or second. It's going to be your best friend depending on just how tight that track is up in front. 95% of the time you're going to find there's going to be a set of ruts in front of you. And I reckon it's best to start off in those ruts, because more often than not, you're going to slip into them anyway. The exception to that rule is if the ruts are much deeper than your tyres. Because when you think about it, if they are, you're really only going to belly out, you're not going to go anywhere. Now, you want to ease your front tyres into the mud. You certainly don't want to go at it like a bull at a gate. Yeah, it looks spectacular, but it only washes off momentum and it really can cause a lot of damage to your truck. Now, just as your back tyres are about to drop in, that is the perfect time to put your boot into it. Not too much though. You want to use controlled acceleration. It's kind of a balance between using enough to get through and not enough that you get stuck. When you can't go any further forward, quickly get off the throttle. Grab reverse and go back as far as you can. Then, fun part starts, give it another go. You'll often have to do the first and reverse shuffle a couple of times, but you'll find yourself clawing just that bit further forward every time. Another red hot tip is to get the steering wheel and rock it from side to side, left to right. What that does, of course, is force the side walls of the tyre up against the side of the ruts that you're stuck in, and it might just give you enough traction to drive your way forward. Once that works, you'll be amazed at what a great technique it is. Now, if you've had a full and fun day in the mud like we just have, make sure you wash your four-wheel drive thoroughly when you get home to keep it in top nick. Now, it's also worth mentioning that if you tackle some deeper mud holes than the ones we did today, it's a good idea to get along to your local ISUZU Ute dealer and get them to check it out thoroughly as well. Nothing says four-wheel driving like a day out on the beach. Blue skies, bluer water, and endless empty dunes. Sand driving can be the most rewarding type of four-wheel driving you'll ever do, but it can also bite back hard if you're not prepared. More than one four-wheel driver has lost their pride and joy to an incoming tyre after getting bogged. I'm Graham Cale from 4-Wheel Drive Action, and I'm down on the beach today with an ISUZU MU-X. And I'm going to give you a few proven techniques to make sure that your dream day on the beach doesn't turn into a sand-filled nightmare. First up, tyre pressures. As a general rule, go straight down to 16 psi, don't mess around. This will approximately double the width of your tyre's footprint that contacts the sand, meaning your four-wheel drive will float across the top of the surface rather than bogging down. Think of a tank's footprint or a tractor with very wide tyres. It's the width of tread touching the ground that lets it walk over the soft ground. Sand driving is all about momentum. So no matter what, you're going to want to keep your vehicle moving. This doesn't mean you want to go thundering up every dune you see though, as tempting as that might be. It's all about finding that sweet spot of throttle input that gives you the perfect balance between maintaining momentum and excessively spinning your tyres. Before you hit the soft sand, turn the vehicle's traction control system to off. Doing this allows full power to go to all wheels when you need it. Now, if you're only going to remember one rule, make it this one. No sudden movements. That means going really easy on the accelerator, really easy on the brake, and even more importantly, really easy on the steering. When it comes to stopping, make sure you coast to a stop. Don't hit the anchors, because you'll just bog down, and that's where you're going to stay. Wherever possible, try and park your four-wheel drive so that it's facing down a slope. That makes a lot of sense, because then when you go to take off again, you've got gravity on your side. A really common scenario is that you're driving along, all of a sudden you lose forward momentum, you start spinning your wheels. Now when this happens, take your foot off the accelerator straight away. It's counterintuitive for most people because they try and put the boot into it, the wheels start spinning and you just dig yourself down further and further. Instead, get onto the situation early and reverse over your hard-packed tracks and have another crack at it. If that doesn't work, you're going to have to let a bit more air out of your tyres. Drive to the tides. Low tide's the best, as you'll have the maximum amount of hard-packed sand. Aim to get on the beach a couple of hours before low tide and come back off again no more than a couple of hours after. All beaches are different though. Some will be wide and flat, others steep and almost impossible. If in doubt, get some local advice about the beach from others. And always keep a snatch strap handy. If it's not for you, it'll be to rescue another four-wheel driver. Remember these tips and you'll be a sand driving master in no time. Of course, it really does help that I've got the MU-X's